Yeah, I know I have that ex that I did so bad, but I'm a better man because of her, and I learned. And
God forbid we will never be that woman. Like, we will never be that girlfriend. Because do you even think about the kind of stress, the kind of heartache, the kind of pain that woman goes through just for another woman in the future to come and enjoy all the growth that he now experienced? Don't be the woman that prepares the man for his wife. Just go ahead and be the wife. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Michelle Amoré, and if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be on age gap dating, my experiences with it, the stigma that comes with it, any advice I can offer, and so much more. I went ahead and asked on Instagram, and by the way, you should go ahead and follow me. My Instagram is right there. But I asked you guys to send me in some questions and comments in regards to age gap dating and what you wanted me to talk on. So throughout this video, I'll be merging my own experiences, my own thoughts, as well as answering you guys' questions. So before I fully dive into this topic, I want to go ahead and give you guys a rundown on my personal experience with age gap dating. So I've only really dated one person my age, and after that I was like, this is the ghetto, never again in my life. So that quickly ended, and I started looking at dating men who are at least about 4, 6, upwards to 18 years older than me, and I will never go back. I mean, I got the ring, but I ain't never going back. What I came to realize with younger men is that they're just mentally not where I needed or wanted a man to be, financially not there, and I was just so sick and tired of the games and the BS and everything. I was like, why am I leaving these dating relationships with nothing but heartbreak and pain and just feeling and leaving worse than I even entered? I was like, something has to change. I can't be out here getting my heart broken for free by broke men. Like, I was just so over it. So I was like, well, what can I do differently in my dating life to get different results? And so I thought about dating older and intentionally targeting and choosing to date men who had some years on me. And it was the best decision ever. Now, I am going to go ahead and say that I do not believe that age is synonymous with maturity. There are tons of men out there in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and so forth with mindsets of an 8-year-old boy. So just because the man has the numbers and has the age on him doesn't necessarily mean he's at a mindset that you would want in a person that you're choosing to date seriously. I'm from Houston, so down here in the clubs every weekend, we know that pool of men in their 30s, 40s with maybe kids at home or whatever the case may be, who are out here doing the absolute most, blowing stimulus checks on 20-year-old women in $20 Fashion Nova dresses trying to impress them, and still have the audacity to run game. So age is definitely not synonymous with maturity. You have to be discernful when you're dealing with men and when you're dating to understand and realize if this is somebody at a mental aptitude that you want to entertain. All right, enough with that. Let's go ahead and start talking about the stigma that comes with dating older men and just the kind of issues that it sometimes brings for people. So I had one girl on Instagram who said she's dating a man who is 15 years older than her and wanted advice with dealing with like the stigma and stuff. Personally, what I will say, I'm very much so the kind of person where I'm gonna live my life and do the things that I want to do, and whoever's opinion that isn't putting money in my pocket, isn't benefiting me in any way, I just don't care enough. Like, at the end of the day, you're a grown adult. You have the right and you have the ability to lead your life in the way that you choose to. What you choose to do is your business. Anybody else's 2 cents on it, it really doesn't hold weight. Now, something that people love to say about women who choose to date older is that they're gold diggers and they're opportunists and things of that nature. And in regards to that stigma that comes with that word, destigmatize it. being called a gold digger is not an issue. I don't understand why people feel some type of way about it. Like, being called a gold, I'd rather be called a gold digger than somebody who's out here allowing men to break my heart for free and throw me around and do the absolute most and have nothing to show for it. Like, I will never knock somebody's hustle. I will never knock somebody who chooses to date in a certain fashion. So that term gold digger, don't allow it to cause you to feel some type of way about who you choose to date and the kind of standards you set for yourself. It is perfectly okay to date hypergamously as a woman, and especially a black woman, because it feels like it's an extra added issue when you're a black woman saying that you have a certain financial standard. That is perfectly okay. And I choose to date older because men who are older tend to be a bit more mature in terms of their finances and mentally in so many other ways. So yes, I don't care if it's gold diggerish for me to choose to date men who are older because they're financially at a place where they can provide and where they can take care of me. At the end of the day, as long as I'm not breaking my back trying to pay bills, I don't care what nobody else has to say about it. So you really have to walk with a certain level of confidence and live your life for yourself. Don't live your life trying to please other people and trying to fit in and trying to do X, Y, and Z. Live your life in a manner that's going to maximize your own happiness. Now, some people do like to say things like, well, there's a reason why that older man can't date women his age. Women his age don't want him. And I think it's really funny because oftentimes when I hear stuff like that, it perceives and it just comes off like it's coming from a woman who is bitter and coming from a woman who these men in their age category don't want to begin with. And let me tell you this, I will say that I've heard from men, even from my man personally, that oftentimes they don't necessarily like dating women within their age group because a lot of times women in that age group are coming in with a lot of baggage from previous relationships, just a lot of mess having to try and deal with. They want somebody who they can easily merge their lives with, who isn't at a place where it's like, I got my career, my home, my house, my this, X, Y, and Z. I don't need you for this and that. And like they're just so uncooperative. Sometimes it's easier for them to date a woman who's less experienced, who can really come into the relationship at a level where she's able to now really merge her life with his and do so easily because she's not at a place in life where she's super advanced in so many areas in life. So don't let those comments of men being predators and stuff like that dissuade you. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely men out there who prey on younger women, but I will say this stigma of associating older men with being predators makes no sense to me, or being manipulative makes no sense to me. In my personal dating life, I found that the most manipulative and conniving men have been men my age or younger. So do with that information as you will. Now, I'm Nigerian American. My parents are Nigerian immigrants, and my parents have a sizable age gap between them. So I think that the stigma on age gap relationships is really unnecessary because even looking at certain cultures and subgroups and stuff, this is the norm. I know a girl from high school who graduated and dated a man, or is actually currently married to a man who's years older than her. And so the thing is, there is so many advantages, and a lot of these cultures understand that. The advantages that come with dating a man or marrying a man that is older than the woman. The man already comes with the stability, and he's able then to allow the woman to now move into his home, or can guide and assist her, or they can start reproducing and having a family earlier because he's financially where he needs to be. So this stigma that American and modern culture puts on age gap dating really makes no sense to me because there's so many advantages to it, and there's a reason why it's been norm in so many cultures for so many centuries. Now, I want to go ahead and expand further on this idea of older men taking advantage of you. I think that regardless, whoever you're dating, I don't care if you're dating a man your age, younger, or older, you need to come into the dating space healthy. You need to come into the dating space with an understanding of your boundaries, your non-negotiables, and things of that nature, so that you won't put yourself in a position where you'll be hurt by somebody who's choosing and has the intentions of hurting you and manipulating you. So I'm not just going to go ahead and contextualize this conversation just for older men, because it applies across the board. But the only way a person's able to take advantage of you in certain situations, obviously not physically, is if you're at a place where you're not strong enough and you don't have your boundaries up strong enough to be able to ensure that person doesn't have that kind of stronghold over you. So I do not recommend dating at all if you're not a person who has a strong sense of self, isn't mature, and isn't developed in so many different ways. Be able to get to that point before you now venture into this, because you will allow yourself and make yourself susceptible to any kind of harm. Now, moving on to the topic of relatability, I did get some comments in regards to like, how do you know you're gonna feel relatable to that person? They're at a different level of stage in life than you. Like, what kind of common ground do you have? Dating a person who's older than you is really not so different in so many ways than dating like regularly or somebody in your age group. Like, if that relationship feels so forced or feels like there's just such a big disparity between you guys, maybe that's not the relationship for you. Even the person that I dated that was 18 years older than me, I rarely felt the impact or the difference in our ages. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, I feel like I'm dating my father. Like, it did not feel that way whatsoever. So I feel like if you're feeling that way, it's more indicative of you guys' non-compatibility as opposed to it being an age gap relationship issue. So whoever you're dating with, that person should feel like your best friend. You guys should have common interests. You guys should have things that you relate on. And I found that to be true for all of my situations where the men were older than me. We found ways where we related and, you know, we shared a lot of common interests. And I will say that even if it might be so hard, maybe because of like music taste differences, or maybe you guys grew up watching different movies or whatever, a lot of older men in my experience really came to enjoy and cherish that aspect of me, bringing that sense of youthful exuberance into the relationship, teaching them or putting them on different things and things of that nature. They appreciate it, and it's a really great way for you guys to bond. So definitely don't allow that to be a factor that scares you away. At the end of the day, if you find somebody you're compatible with, you guys are compatible regardless of age, regardless of how much experience they have over you. And now in regards to the idea of not being able to relate because you guys are at two different points in your life, I don't know why that's so stigmatized and why that seems as if it's such a bad thing to have. I think it's really advantageous and can be very helpful when you're partnered with somebody who has experience and who is at a different stage in life, because they can offer you a depth of knowledge that you will never be able to access until you get to that point in life, and they can really just help accelerate your progress in your life. So I think there's just so many advantages that come with it. At the end of the day, you guys can be at two different points in life, but as long as you guys have common ground in terms of values and interests and things that really matter when it comes to compatibility and relationships, you'll be fine. Now I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the maturity that comes with dealing with men who are older than you and dating them. These men, because of the age and because of the time that they've had and the experience they have over you, they really come in a place where you can really benefit from a lot of their experiences and their knowledge. One thing that was important for me was to never be like that starter girlfriend. You sometimes hear men talk about,
yeah, I know I have that ex that I did so bad, but you know, I'm a better man because of her, and I learned. And
God forbid we will never be that woman. Like, we will never be that girlfriend, because do you even think about the kind of stress, the kind of heartache, the kind of pain that woman goes through just for another woman in the future to come and enjoy all the growth that he now experienced and how much he's learned and the knowledge and stuff like that? May we always be the woman that learned, that gets to enjoy these men when they're mature, when they've grown up, or they're past all those nonsense phases and stuff, because that's what you get when you're dating older men. Likely, they've already had their fair share of failed relationships. They've learned a thing or two about dealing with women and having relationships with women. And so they come at a place where maybe like communication and relationship skills are top tier because they've figured out and they've seen what's failed. And they know even the aspects about themselves that they needed to grow and work on so they could be a better spouse for you. So come to the winning team where you can enjoy those benefits and you don't have to sit there and be the girl that he had to grow through and grow from, and taught him all the amazing lessons and stuff that the future woman is going to enjoy. Don't be the woman that prepares the man for his wife. Just go ahead and be the wife. And now, speaking on another aspect of maturity, finances, like career, they're already at a place where they're able to take care of themselves and take care of other people. And that can bring a lot of benefits to you as a woman in a relationship. I personally know women who have dated men older who were in serious relationships, and these men helped pay them through school, paid for college tuition, helped them with daily living necessities that they needed throughout that time period. So there's a lot of benefits that come with that. I'd even say personally, with ways that I've been helped financially, it's been very beneficial to know that you have a partner where if you're in a situation where you need help or assistance, they have the ability to help you. They can do more than say,
damn, that's crazy.
They can actually be like, all right, let me take care of it for you. Like, I remember my car was messing up like about 2 or so weeks ago, making all sorts of crazy noises. My man was like, let me have your keys, took care of it, went to the mechanic, and that was it. But a man your age, a man who is at a similar place in life as you, he trying to figure out how to take care of his car. He's trying to figure out how to get a car. So it's just a lot more difficult to be partnered with somebody in that sense. So if that financial stability is important to you and is something you desire, dating older is really the way to go. Now, moving on to the topic of like age and numbers and like how much is too much in terms of an age gap and stuff, I can't tell you how much is too much. At the end of the day, it depends on what you're comfortable with and on how you guys just get along in your relationship. So whether or not you're able to get along with somebody 40, 50 years older than you, or your max is like 10, it all depends on you. One of the shows that I love watching, and my fiance and I watch it together, is Marrying Millions on Lifetime, I think. And there's a couple on there, Brianna and I forgot her man's name, but they have like 40 or 50 years between them. And it works for them. Like, it works for them. But I wouldn't come around and start saying, oh, that's too much of an age gap or anything. Like, whatever works for you, works for you. Some women might not be comfortable with that, and that's totally understandable. But whatever, like, makes you feel comfortable, great. Just go ahead and do it. I did get one person on Instagram ask, like, she said she's 19 and her man's 25, or looking to date a 25-year-old, and if that's too much or if that's okay. I personally think that's a perfect and ideal age gap. I think that about 6-7 years, that's great, because they still have that experience over you, but they're not too far away where it's like you guys grew up in totally different generations and stuff like that. So I feel like as long as the compatibility is there, and you know that's somebody who's not trying to take advantage of you, and you're at a healthy place and you can date maturely, I think it's perfectly fine. Because I really can't stress this point enough, men and women mature at different paces. There are actually some people who argue that men shouldn't even be looking at marriage or serious relationships until they're at least 30. So for a woman who wants marriage and a woman that's on a biological clock and things of that nature, you're gonna have to date older, because those are the men who are, first of all, at a place financially where they can afford those things, and mentally at a place where they're over their whole phase, they're over playing around and playing with the games and stuff, and they really desire to settle down and be serious and commit to somebody. So that's another benefit to dating older. Now, next I'm going to talk about the perks of dating older and like the different experiences and knowledge that they put you on. From every relationship that I've had with a man, or dating experience that I've had with a man that was older than me, I left with a new sense of like knowledge or understanding of myself. They put me on some kind of game. Basically, they left me in a position better than what they found me. And that's important. I think it's so important in relationships to be partnered with somebody who wants and desires to invest in you, who actually does that, who wants to see you improve, wants to see you accelerate in life. And I've noticed that I've been able to find that kind of relationship structure with men who are older, because mind you, men who are younger are still trying to figure it out for themselves. So things that I'll go ahead and give you guys examples about. I've dated men who've put me on to like luxury vacations, and like I've always been a traveler, will always be a traveler. But girl, I used to travel in like hostels and stuff, because for me, it didn't matter how I was traveling. I just wanted to get out there. But I never knew people were out here spending and dropping basically rent on like 1 day stays at luxury hotels and stuff. And so having a taste of that kind of life and those kind of experiences, it really just expands your minds, and it's like, man, I want more for myself. I want more for my life. I'll even go ahead and say that my first ever steakhouse stay, or my first time even going to a steakhouse, was with an older man. Men our age are taking us to Chili's. Because honestly and truly, that's like all they can really afford. But in terms of new experiences and fine dining and luxury travel experiences, you can't really get that unless that man is near his financial prime and is older. One guy was like, look, we're gonna go on a tour of like the steakhouses in Houston, and literally every week or every time we went out for dates and stuff, it was Trulux to Mastro's to steak. Like, I'm gonna show you all the restaurants, all the fine dining spots in Houston. I can't get experiences like that with men my age. And yes, the whining and dining is fun, it's nice, but that's not all it is. Like, I think you should be able to leave a relationship with more than, oh, I went to here and we traveled here and we ate here. What kind of knowledge is he putting you on? How is he helping you accelerate yourself, advance yourself, level up mentally? I remember I went on one date with this man who was a multi-millionaire broker in Houston, and we were at Trulux Seafood, and this man was just like talking about his businesses and stuff. And I wish I knew more about the real estate industry then, because I could have really capitalized on that opportunity. Maybe even see how I could be like, have his mentorship or something like that. But you know, at the end of the day, he laid that seed. And then I dated another man who was literally into real estate investing and stuff like that. And he lived in a really nice penthouse downtown Houston area. And when I came over to give him his housewarming gift or whatever, he literally looks out the window and he's like, yeah, I own that condo over there. I have like a tenant in there. And so just learning about real estate investing, owning property, things of that, like just so many different concepts that I was never put onto because of my background and because of my age. Like, these men have really expanded my mind. And so now it's put me at a place like, yes, I'm going to law school. Yes, I'm going to be a lawyer and get my JD, but I don't have to be limited to that career path. There's so many other ways that I can generate wealth. Like, at the end of the day, the goal isn't to have to clock in for somebody all the time. You want to be able to make income. And I will always have a hustler spirit in myself. Like, yes, I desire to be a stay-at-home mom and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, I'm an evil woman, so that hustler spirit will never leave me. So I want to be able to have my hands in something lucrative. But these men have really accelerated me, and so even now I'm in school to get my real estate license and go into business and do things in that area with real estate investment and stuff. This is a result of information and knowledge I've been put on from the men I've dated. Even my YouTube channel, literally my YouTube channel, I was inspired by a guy I was dating, and he was like, go ahead and just start. He was like, look, I'm gonna go ahead and even get you your camera and things that you need to go ahead and set up. I didn't agree to that. I didn't agree to allow him to buy me all those things because I wanted to build it myself from the bottom up, just because of pride or whatever. But that's the thing, like, these men will see potential in you, will see opportunities for growth in you, and they'll invest in that and they will support that. But men our age, they're still trying to figure that out for themselves. So they don't even have the mental capacity, really, not all the time, to be able to put forth that energy and invest that energy into you. So that's another great benefit to dating older. Because if anything that I want to see more so for women is leaving these relationships with tangibles, with things that you can say, well, even if it didn't work out, cool, that's fine. But at least I'm leaving with this new set of knowledge. At least I'm leaving knowing that he invested X, Y, and Z amount of money into my business that I'm starting up. He put me on some business knowledge or things of that nature. Leave better than you found them. And that's what they tend to do for you. Now I'm going to close off this video discussing the cons of dating older men and dating with an age gap. Just like anything else in life, not everything is like peaches and cream. You know, there's certain downfalls to certain things. And I will say that one of them, for you, it depends on your perspective, but you might not be experiencing your first with them. Like, maybe sometimes men who are older, more than likely, maybe they've been divorced in the past. Maybe they have a kid or something. Like, there's certain situations for men of that age group. So are you a woman who's able to be partnered with a man who's been divorced, or a man who has a kid from from a previous marriage or something. So these are things that you're going to want to think about. Also, these are probably men who've already gone through the process of buying their first home as a couple, and all those exciting things that you might look forward to doing with your partner. So are you okay with not having those same experiences for the first time? You have to know if that's something you really desire. Next, I will say, I think there is a certain beauty that comes with growing with somebody and like creating a beautiful life together. For men who are already come established, who are already financially where they need to be and everything, like, you're not coming into the picture to help them financially. You're really just there to enjoy the fruits of their labor. But I think where it can be kind of a downfall is that you don't necessarily get to go through that bonding phase that comes with being like, hey, we partnered together and we created this beautiful life together and things of that nature. So if that's something that you really desire and that you truly want, maybe age gap dating might not be for you. And lastly, I will say that sometimes these men might come with a certain level of like baggage into the relationship and things that you might want to have to go ahead and consider. I've dated a man who was divorced and had one kid, and I mean, he financially was at a really great position and everything, but because he had been so scorned by his ex-wife and the issues of their tumultuous marriage and everything, I felt like it did affect his perception of marriage and stuff. And that's why we couldn't move any further, because marriage is a non-negotiable for me. I know for a fact I want to be somebody's legally wedded wife. I couldn't do any other forms of partnership or whatever. And so he was saying things like, I really don't see myself getting married again, but I can do some kind of contract, because he had gotten screwed over so bad due to like child support laws and just how laws arguably favor women a lot more than men in terms of divorce. So he had been hurt and burnt really bad from that. So he was like, I could never get married under the state. And look, I completely understood it. I would never fault him for that because he went through some ish. But I felt like it wasn't fair for me now to dismiss my goal and dismiss my desire for marriage just to be in that kind of partnership. He was saying things like, I won't marry you, but maybe you could carry my first kid and I'll pay you $30K, the second one $50K, and you're like my surrogate. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know, this is just too messy for me. It's nothing that I would ever want. So that had to go ahead and end. So that's something that you might encounter with some of these men. Maybe they don't want marriage anymore. Maybe they just want like a lifetime partnership with you. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with not having that kind of stability that comes with marriage? So you really have to ask yourself and make sure that this man is at a place where you'd be able to really partner with him and create a beautiful relationship with him. So that's everything I wanted to go ahead and say on this topic. Please go ahead and leave any comments or questions you might have down below. Let's get some discussion going on. What has been you guys' experience with dating older? Is it something you're down for? So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up for more content so you don't miss anything. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
You a bad girl and your friends bad too. Oh, you got the swag, saucy drippin' swag, do. You a bad girl and your friends bad too. Oh.